In today's video, I got a 10-year-old budget build in for some diagnostics and repairs, so figured why don't we get this all fixed up and find out, if you spent under £100 on a PC 10 years ago, how well is that computer holding up? Right, so this here is meant to be a computer that I've just got in to be repaired, and from what I understand it doesn't turn on. I've not tested it yet, but I'm assuming one of the main issues with it, everything else looks fine, standard budget build from a few years ago, but that power supply down there smells awfully like it's burnt out. So what we're going to do is we'll start off by plugging it in, and then we'll find out what's wrong with it, see if we can get it fixed, and then see just how is a older budget build PC holding up in the modern world. So let's go find a power switch plug thing. So if we plug this in and just see what it does, should be able to get this up and running. So on, it's just on. Let me turn that around so you can see the lovely RGB that was all the rage at the time. So maybe it's thermals causing it to turn off. I was going to say, it's not high load components. I don't know what graphics card we're running there, but it doesn't look particularly high end. Unless it was just damp, because it's come from somewhere where it was in a damp climate, quite mouldy. It's been in the boot of my car, drying out. So it could have just been damp. I suppose what we can do is just set it up, plug it in, and find out what it does. So we'll move that to one side real quick. Put a monitor down. And then we'll connect that up with a DVI cable. No signal. Right, we'll try rebooting it. Something's not giving us a display. Let's take the side panel off. That is working there. It looks slightly loose. That clipped in. Now let's go straight into power save mode. See if it gives a display out the... We got a beep that time. Now let's try and take out this graphics card. Is it just... And then we'll try booting it off the internal graphics. Just as a side note, the actual graphics card was a GTS 450. Palette one though, which is quite nice. Haven't seen one of them in a while. We'll put back in another graphics card. I've got another one on hand. Nothing at all. Let's turn that off. Let's take out a stick of RAM. Let's boot it up with just the RAM that we've got. So it's got 16 gigs of RAM. There we go. There we go. Okay, so now we're on. So now we want to try putting back in the RAM and seeing if it will boot back up with full 16 gigs. And then we'll try putting the graphics card in and out. We might give that a quick clean. So now back to 16 gigs of RAM, nothing wants to work. So what we'll do is we will then turn that off and we'll try taking out the other stick, and then we can determine, is this motherboard related or is this RAM related? Because I don't have a feeling it is the RAM. No, so it's not posting on that RAM stick. Take those out. Now we'll try the slots. Not unheard of for damp to kill off one of the RAM slots on an older computer, and it's not posting. So that would indicate that one of our issues is with the motherboard itself. And we'll try putting back in this one in the slot that we know works. So that slot works. Can we get into the BIOS real quick? So we're looking standard sort of budget build PC, i5-2400, currently working with 8 gigs of RAM. Unplug that. There we go. CMOS is unplugged. What we'll do, we'll leave that for 30 seconds, see what it does, and then maybe that'll clear some of the settings. But it's a decent 1155 motherboard. There's upgrades that can be done here. Do you know what would be really useful would be a pair of pliers. Let me bring you in so you can have a rough idea of what I'm working with here. So down here, you can see it. That's the CMOS battery. And then it's got a clip in that little white bit there. With about that much clearance. If I give you an idea, that's how big my finger is, and that is how fiddly this cable is to do. I love diagnostics. Right, there's 16 gigs of RAM. Let's pop back in the graphics card. That RAM slot may very well be truly dead, and judging by the fact we got no display, yep, and then we're straight back on with 8 gigs of RAM. Very strange. I wonder if we can clean the port, but the thing is the port was already populated, so we can try and give it a quick clean, but that's actually clicked in now. Let's turn that back on. Yep, 16 gigs of memory. There you go. The port was dirty. So now, next test, will all the graphics card work? So what's happened is moisture's got in there. It was shorting out the power supply originally, which seems to have been okay. Everything else seems to have survived intact. The only parts that need a little bit of TLC seem to be the motherboard. In fact, most of the smells have cleared up, so really the PC just needed to be dried off. We'll make sure that all works, because I'm not keeping this. This is not my computer to keep. But ultimately, what we'll do is, this is a 10-year-old budget build PC. So, you know, you've got your Sandy Bridge i5, you've got your 16 gigs of RAM, you've got your Geforce graphics card. We want to see how well it's holding up now. So I'll chuck in my own SSD real quick so we can boot our own version of Windows. And then why don't we see just how well this thing's coping, because it's fixed. So there's nothing much more I can do with this, other than we put in our own version of Windows real quick, give it a real benchmark, because that's a stress test, and we'll find out what it does. All good. That's fine. We can leave that updating, and we can plug in Steam drive. I'll say it's definitely quick to use. That's one thing that is surprising me here. There's not a single problem with it being slow, because it simply isn't. It works dead quick. Honestly, there's no real problem so far. It's running absolutely fine. So we'll do this as a stress test just to find out how it's doing. But if you built one of these 10 years ago, even with just a little SSD, you've added some RAM into it as time's gone on, you're still using a Sandy Bridge processor, I'd say our main limit's going to be that Fermi graphics card, because as much as it does support DirectX 12, well, it's basic support at best. But we'll install MSI Afterburner, check a few things out, do some benchmarks, and ideally, soon we should know if one of these was worth keeping around. So overall spec-wise, what we've actually got running here is we've got a Core i5-2400, which is a Sandy Bridge processor, and a few years ago, well, quite a few years ago now, was actually the go-to budget recommendation for if you wanted a 4-core processor that runs everything. It clocks in at 3.2 gigahertz or thereabouts, and is generally really quite a good processor. It can probably still handle some stuff today. We've got 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM, which looks to be clocked in at 1300 megahertz, and then the graphics card powering this all is the card that was quite cheap and easy to power when this was sort of being built, which is a GTS 450. It looks to have a 500 gigabyte SSD, and all we need to do now is run a modern-ish benchmark to see where it sort of places it in the modern world, and then we can start with some gaming tests. So we can run Time Spy, that'd be ideal. Hardware may not be compatible, it should still run it. So performance in modern benchmarks that actually use DirectX 12, we are down to 2 frames per second, 2.2, back down under 2 frames per second. So we'll let that run and we'll see how that turns out. However, processor-wise, that's actually not a bad result. It's managing it fine. So the benchmark's completed, and as predicted, our graphics score is remarkably lower than our processor score, so the i5 is still hanging in there, but then again, the GTS 450 was never designed for DirectX 12, but it is running it. What we can do now is run some benchmarks. We'll go through, see how they all perform, and just see what a budget PC is performing like. Might as well.
Starting off the benchmarks with Baldur's Gate 3, which actually launched, something I wasn't expecting. It took a while to actually configure the game low enough down for us to see something that resembled a frame rate, but even then it wasn't exactly a playable experience, with the game averaging anywhere from a 10 to 11 FPS most of the time. Unfortunately, I don't know any way to tweak this game lower than it already is, so it does look like the latest of AAA games are mostly a no-go for these types of budget PCs. However, our processor really wasn't struggling at all, and really it was only the graphics card left lagging behind. BeamNG actually ran alright, even with the plethora of updates this game has had since this PC was originally built. With 720p and the low preset, we managed a decent frame rate even throughout the hardest of levels. Of course, foliage would completely fill up our VRAM and actually stress the i5 out a little bit, but as long as you weren't doing that too much, you were seeing anywhere from 40 to 50 FPS on average, which made for a remarkably decent and quite smooth experience, albeit one that could look a little bit better. More impressive than that though was Counter-Strike 2, which was able to run in 720p with lower settings, all the while nearly hitting 60 FPS during the rather intensive benchmark. This figure would be higher in actual competitive scenarios, but never smooth enough to actually be a really competitive experience. That isn't going to take away from the fact that this is a genuinely playable game on this PC, which I really wasn't expecting given how intensive I found this game at times. So with lower settings, Counter-Strike 2 is still running, and to a degree, still somewhat playable. It's no surprise that even after 10 years, GTA 5 is still running as good as it always did. With the game running a mixture of medium and a couple of the higher options selected, we managed to see a solid 60 FPS. No surprises there, as this game has stayed just about as well optimised as it did on its original launch. You could still turn things down a little bit and then up the resolution if you wanted, and if you don't mind hitting 30 FPS, 1080p is definitely doable. But so far, it's no surprise that it's still running rather well. In a similar vein to Baldur's Gate 3, it was impressive just to see Red Dead Redemption 2 launch, but more annoyingly, due to the awful settings menu in this game, genuinely I hate benchmarking it on older systems because of that awful VRAM limit that it won't let you ignore, and it'll lock some settings higher than they should be unless you go and fiddle with the INI file, and given I was only just stress testing this machine, I didn't do that. But still, Red Dead Redemption 2 will launch and will even utilise DirectX 12, which really makes me want to see just how far can we push Fermi cards, given that they still run on these modern APIs, because it's been years since we last looked at that. I think it was a GTX 465 when that was the cheapest DirectX 12 card around we last looked at it, but still, that's an idea for another video. Even still, you'll see 10 FPS here and there, which isn't exactly playable. Finally though, just to give you an idea of how this type of PC ran games back in the day, generally you were talking older and simpler titles easily in 1080p, and then AAA games like Skyrim running with high and ultra settings with around 30 FPS, only dropping beneath this when you really made things intense in towns and cities. So for its era, this was a remarkably strong build. I mean, you'll struggle to find people that were doing anything different to this, but these smaller Fermi cards really do seem like the limiting factor here. And with an upgrade, I mean, every other component seemed to check out absolutely fine. So there we have it, a 10-year-old PC in for repairs due to damp and mold damage. This video was only filmed to test equipment for filming, as I was still adjusting to using an external microphone, so some of the levels here I've tried to salvage for the video, but this was only ever recorded as a test so I could learn how to use the equipment. But I suppose this video did serve to show something, that even those old budget builds are just hanging in there. And for those wondering, we did actually go back and test the Core i5-2400 in this very PC a few weeks back, and that was a normal video that was properly edited and all that, and not sort of randomly shot with an iPhone and an external mic that wasn't set up properly. So don't think the channel's changing, this was just a fun little test of some new equipment that also happened to be turned into a rather interesting little video on what is happening with those old budget build computers and are they still usable. I hope you all enjoyed watching. I know it's been a bit of a weird one with lots of rambling and me trying to make the computer actually work in the first place, and lots of just sort of words off the top of my head rather than actually me sitting down, typing a script and actually making it a cohesive piece. But anyway, thank you all very much for watching, and good night.